Hello and welcome to another Best Ball live stream. My name is Adam Levitan, joined by the Best Ball King of the Virgins himself, Justin Herzig, on this beautiful Thursday in May. Herzig, how's it going today?
We're doing well. We're doing well. I mean, DraftKings just keeps pumping us with these promos. Right now, draft 4, get another one free. There's already the buy one, get one. So we're having fun drafting some DraftKings.
Yeah, I also think that like ADP is starting to, I don't want to say settle because it's still pretty wild, but it's starting to kind of come a little bit towards our rankings, which we'll talk about. And more. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump in a $25 best ball here. Certainly talk about some strategy along the way. Coming up next week on the channel, we're gonna do a show actually with Overzet ranking our favorite best ball strategies for 2026. It's a little bit early, I think, for me to fully think through that, but I do want to start thinking through what do I want most of my teams to look like? Hero RB, elite quarterback, zero RB, wide receiver heavy, etc. So stay tuned for that. Be sure you are indeed subscribed for free.
I mean,
on YouTube.
I think we have the perfect pick to have this discussion because if you look at ETR ranks, which we have up on the screen, like by the numbers, we have Puka first, Gibbs second, Bijan all the way down at 5. We've had a lot of discussion back and forth on this, and it's tough because I personally feel that even though DraftKings is 3 wide receivers, it's PPR, I still think that Gibbs and Bijan should be the top 2. But if you want to go like, hey, from a pure projection standpoint, the value of Puka, the numbers are saying should be number 1. Yeah.
100%. And yeah, one big thing that I want to think through, and part of that is what we're going to do here at 2. Every year, it was just relentless. Wide receiver, all these best ball bros, all the freaks on underdog, everybody, wide receiver, even on half PPR underdog where it's so touchdown heavy, no bonuses, or it didn't have bonuses previously. Like they were still going so wide receiver heavy. And now this year, they finally capitulated, Herzig. They finally said, you know what? I'm going to relent and take a bunch of running backs early. And my temptation is to do the opposite now and go really wide receiver heavy, especially on DraftKings. The problem is how that leaves you at running back late is like really, really scary. I mean, you can come up with some really bad running back rooms if you do go wide receiver heavy. So my gut here, honestly, at 2 overall is Puka, and try to make these really wide receiver heavy rooms as contrarian. If I had one team for the whole best ball season, I would be taking Bijan here, I think for sure. So yeah, what do you think about 2?
When you say Bijan, is that Bijan over Gibbs, or are you just assuming Gibbs is going first?
Gibbs first, and then Bijan. Yes.
Okay. Well, Bijan went first. So
Okay,
now what are we doing?
Well, now I would take Gibbs because I think Gibbs is like, I prefer Gibbs to Bijan, and I think it's better overall to have that running back there first. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, and the thing is, and I did this, I did an AMA yesterday in the ETR Discord. It's in the general channel, so you can still kind of check it out and catch back up. But one of the questions, or a couple of the questions, were around exposure, especially this time of year. And yeah, if you're taking Puka with the 1st or 2nd overall, you're not going to get like basically any Bijan or Gibbs. And are we that confident in that stance? Because if you would decrease Puka's target share by, my guess is 0.1%, 0.2%, like he probably drops from 1 to 2 or 3. Like we're talking really small numbers here. And so if, Achan going 4, if Puka's ADP stays at that 4 spot, then I'm content just saying, give me my Gibbs, give me my Bijan. I'm probably going to have a little more Gibbs than Bijan because I really do feel like that's a better play there. But I still don't want to have no Bijan, and I definitely don't want to have none of either of them by just taking Puka.
100%. 100%. By the way, Herzig did mention that Q&A, AMA that he did in Discord. If you guys want access to that or ones in the future, be sure you have our best ball product. It's $59.99, includes the rankings, Q&As with Herzig, all the context around all of our rankings, etc. So check that out on the site. The best ball product, $59.99, does cover you for 365 days.
Yeah, there were some good questions there. They were trying to some questions around what's the double or the triple condom play that I wouldn't be doing. What are the teams that I think are most underrated at this point of the year? Um, yeah, good discussion there.
For sure. And yeah, like, what do you think about the people that do these wild things? They're like, you know what? This is a 900,000 person tournament. I need the wild combos. I need to do crazy things. It's not that crazy to think Achan could outscore Puka. And then I have this really different combo where I have Achan and something at 21 that nobody else has. And if that hits, I have a new combo. This is like DFS thought. I don't normally do this, but I see even people I consider sharp like do this at times. What do you think about that play?
Yeah, first off, don't do it now. You don't know what's going to happen with regards to ADP and stuff because maybe Achan has a little injury and now you can actually get him at pick 21 in August. And now you're getting those same combos, but with a much better player. But come August, September, let's say, trying to think what an example would be, but Saquon and James Cook right here have always been like at that. Maybe you take Saquon at 1, and now you're going to get a unique piece that has always been at that 2-3 turn, and no one else has that Saquon and let's see, Trey McBride piece or whoever it is. And that's where, yeah, now at least like you've known the whole summer, this is a combo people haven't been getting. Maybe you could say like, if you're at that 1-2 turn, you go the Saquon and now you pull up like the Trey McBride. So I don't know. Like you just got to think through how can you find a truly unique one and make sure you're not really giving up too much value. And yeah, apparently I'm getting too much of an echo on the mic. So sorry about that, but I can play with it.
Yeah, you sound fine to me, but yeah,
Okay.
some people are saying that you don't, but you definitely sound fine to me. Yeah, coming back to us here. Yeah, you see McBride go at 17. I feel like there is a cohort of people out there who think Bowers should be ranked ahead of McBride. It's tough for me to really argue with them too hard. Like the way that it ran out for the Cardinals last year was so favorable for McBride, not just Brissett getting in there, but all of the garbage time, Marvin Harrison being hurt, inability to run the ball. A lot of that could be different this year. So if you wanted to tell me that Bowers was going to finish higher than McBride, I would not argue with you. And Bowers would probably be my pick here. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, especially because we went with running back in the first one. I don't need to go Gibbs and Henry. We talk about this every stream. I'm already lower on Henry from DraftKings, and there's lots of reasons for that. The Bowers gives us the elite tight end, which gives you kind of that positional advantage that you're not going to get. He can both hit that 100-yard bonus. He can be the core of that entire offense. And I think we can still get a pretty strong player at this next one, whether it is, one of these Derrick Henry, Jeremiah Love, if we didn't want the running back, or take our wide receiver and we get a nice balanced build going.
Yeah, and again, Bowers and McBride, we think are better on DraftKings than FanDuel. More on that in a second. Jeremiah Love went. We could take Derrick Henry here for the double RB pick. I know Herzig hates that play, but that would
not at this point.
Probably be the play for me would be Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, now we're getting, obviously, rank-wise, we're getting almost an entire round of value. ADP, you're getting 4 or 5 picks. It's a bit more of a unique combo. Yeah, I'm down.
The one of the bigger concerns I have on Henry isn't even age, which is certainly a concern, and the pass catching stuff is certainly a concern, but just the Ravens losing Todd Monken, it just doesn't sit right with me. Like I have so much respect for Todd Monken, and honestly, I don't know a ton about the new offensive coordinator, but yeah, that's my biggest concern on Henry is just like efficiency on offense without Todd Monken could certainly go down.
Yeah, it's fine. But even before Todd Monken was there, like you still had Lamar, you still had a lot of these core parts of the offense, and Derrick Henry was still Derrick Henry. There's a couple good questions in chat we can hop through.
Yeah.
I'll start with, go for it.
No, I just want to address this. You said all vibes, no value. Says, why are you guys so low on Mekhi Lemon? I feel it should be closer to Tate and Tyson. He's buried behind Concepcion in the ranks. Yeah, hopefully you guys have listened to the shows I've been doing with Silva. We have debated this a bunch about the fit for Mekhi Lemon. Mekhi Lemon is a slot receiver in an offense that is extremely run heavy and will be in 2 wide receiver sets a lot. I think Lemon has a pretty good chance to win that, even though he's primarily a slot over Dontavian Wicks and over Hollywood Brown, but I wouldn't swear to it. We could end up with a spot where he's only plays 60, 70% of the snaps, a la Jaden Reed, and the Eagles are one of the most run-heavy teams in the entire NFL. And then you layer in the Hurts concerns from an efficiency perspective. So that's why it's tough on Mekhi Lemon. I don't think he should be near Tate and Tyson, but I'm, I guess, more optimistic than Silva is on Mekhi Lemon. So yeah, that's just a take there. And you can hear on the shows, we talked about this a ton also.
Yeah, I mean, and even beyond that, like they were drafted 13 or so picks apart. Like, I mean, for Jordan Tyson, and then what Carnell Tate was now 16, 17 picks. Because what did Lemon end up going? Was it 20, 21?
20th, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like that's substantial draft capital difference between the two. And then both Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson, I'm expecting them to be have a chance of being the number one wide receiver in the offense. Like, yeah, Wandale Robinson and like Chris Olave, like, but they both have a legitimate chance. Mekhi Lemon may not even be out there in 2 wide receiver sets. Like, there's just a lot more variance. And then, not to mention, I think the no ball things that Silva's talking about, throwing over the middle, obviously that with Jalen Hurts. So I do think there should be a substantial gap between, tier 1, which is the top 2 wide receivers, and then beyond.
Yep. And you see here already, like I want to talk about the Josh Allen pick in a second, but so many running backs are going in the first 4 rounds. I mean, look how many running backs we've had. And this is on DraftKings, where I always think it's better to be wide receiver heavy. Obviously, like running back heavy starts have worked, but hero RB and even robust RB, like 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds have typically been the way that I have liked to play. But now everybody's doing that, which again, we don't have any wide receivers here on DraftKings through 3 rounds, which frankly makes me uncomfortable, Herzig.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. I feel one thing is we've lost a little flexibility. So even if a running back we really like starts falling to us, we just can't afford to take him at this point. We probably aren't going to be going with an elite quarterback either because we went with Brock Bowers. So we just got to go heavy on the next round 4, 5, 6, 7 of wide receivers and see what we can kind of put together.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, it's tough to have elite quarterback and elite tight end. If I was drafting 150 of these, I would probably have some of that because that could be what you need in the playoffs. But I don't think that should be like your primary, like Bowers and Lamar or McBride and Allen.
And if I did that, though, I wouldn't want to have 2 running backs. I would have rather have gone running back, wide receiver. So you have that flexibility. Devontae Adams feels like a gift to us at this spot.
Yeah. I do think that there were signs Devontae Adams last year was slowing down. A lot of his production was tied to touchdowns, which certainly scares me, but they have not done anything really at the wide receiver position, showing a lot of faith here in Devontae Adams to sustain health and be productive for the whole year. So yeah, I mean, it's tough for us to just like get volume and touchdowns off of Devontae Adams.
And that's baked into where we're getting him at that point in the draft.
Yeah, so we have McLaurin 9 spots ahead of JMO. That a lot of that is volume. I think JMO probably has bigger spike weeks in him, but McLaurin is so much better bet for volume. And I think given the way our team sets up, we need some sustainable weekly production of wide receivers. So I like McLaurin there over JMO. In other scenarios, though, I'd be willing to IKB JMO over McLaurin, I think.
That's fair. One of the other tiebreakers I put there is I look at the QBs and you have, Jared Goff is ADP 103. We're right at rank there. It's fine, I'd say. But then you look at Jaden Daniels, where we are 17 spots higher than ADP. And if you look at ADP pick 67, our next pick is 71. While we just talked about like not wanting to really load up an elite QB because we need the wide receivers, it sets us up where if Jaden Daniels were to fall to us and no one else is really competing for him with us as a stack partner, we probably take him. And we're kind of just pretty happy we got that value and we got the stack.
And that ties back to the point that I wanted to make. One thing we talked about last stream was the elite quarterbacks going too close to the pocket quarterbacks. You see here, it's starting to get a little bit different. Josh Allen at 29, Lamar at 45, I believe was pretty different than what it was last time. If we could still get Jaden Daniels at 71, I think we have to do it, even though it's not like maybe not ideal for our structure. Like we have the stack, and I just think that's a steal on Jaden Daniels because just a round or 2 later than Jaden Daniels goes is going to be a bunch of pocket sloths that don't have nearly the ceiling that Jaden Daniels has. So yeah, definitely like that. I will say if we had taken JMO, we set up the double Gibbs, JMO, Goff, which, and you could get into a Lions onslaught, which I don't necessarily want to onslaught a lot of teams, but Lions are ones that definitely can be onslaught. They have an incredible sleep off schedule. This year, they have chances to score like 30 points often, very often.
Yeah. And Lions are one of those examples that it's hard to really put this into projections or rankings, even on a weekly basis. But there are certain teams where coaching staff, and it's just kind of ingrained in their philosophy, like they are perfectly content running the score up. And you've seen that a few of the teams. And I think those are ones where there are opportunities, if you feel comfortable in your assessment on that you can double, triple stack, just like go heavy on those teams in best ball. And know that, some teams, they're up 28-0 in the fourth, they're going to put in their reserves, backups. Others, foot on the gas and just keep going. And so I think Lions are one of those where they're more than contentious. We've seen it just running up that score.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, and you see the three, like if Jaden, like these people in spots 3, 4, and 5 should not be taking Jaden. Obviously, they have Burrow, Lamar, and Allen. So, yeah, pretty decent chance for us here to get Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, I wonder if he goes Drake May with the AJ Brown likely being a Patriot. Also might be holding out for Jalen Hurts at pick 78 or reaches at pick 67. Caleb going 65. That was, someone asked me who's a player that I am in the top 100. Yep, there, Drake May, that I will have less than 5% on, and Caleb Williams. I just can't get around to his price when you're comparing to the other quarterbacks going in that area.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, Caleb was a guy that I expected to be going in the 90s, before all this started, and there you see him at 65. But look at this though, man. Every single team except for team 5 has at least 2 running backs. And a lot of them have 3. I mean, you would just not see this ever. You just wouldn't. And now it's just common. Everybody's going so running back heavy, which again makes me I want to do some wide receiver teams and see how wide receiver heavy teams and see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Well, as long as the Joe Burrow triple stack doesn't take Jaden Daniels, we should be good, and we get Jaden Daniels. Easy pick, right?
Oh, just such a great value. I mean, are people wanting to give up on Jaden Daniels? I don't get it, because he wasn't great last year and then he got hurt. But does that mean we're giving up on him? He was incredible. I mean, incredible as a rookie. Incredible.
Yeah, and I don't know if people forget his rushing ability and some of that upside we saw in that rookie season too. And maybe it's well, he doesn't have much receiver options. You've got Luke McCaffrey as his number 2 right now. It's obviously rough, but we're still expecting that they can sign one of these veteran free agents. I think we need a wide receiver here. DK is top of the ranks and kind of an easy choice by the ranks.
Yeah, I think. Do you think the Rodgers news will make his ADP go higher? I mean, I don't love DK Metcalf, and we've looked at this so many times. We feel good about the inputs on him and Pittman and Jeremy Bernard, but I don't love it. But I think the ADP, I think this will generate CLV for us. In other words, DK Metcalf will be going higher, much higher come August, I think.
Right. And you cannot love it at our rank of 58, but we just got him at 74.
Right.
This over here is where you may not love it. And that should definitely ease the pain somewhere in this range. So, yeah.
Yep, agreed. I want to answer this question from Grant about Brock Bowers. So, I believe it was week 1 last year, maybe week 2, he sustained a PCL injury in his knee and a bone bruise. Tried to play through it for a while, was terrible. I mean, terrible trying to play through it. Eventually comes back, had a couple big games, but yeah, it was a bit underwhelming. I just think the system going from Chip Kelly to Clint Kubiak, you get a quarterback upgrade in Mendoza and maybe a little bit of Cousins, and then the wide receiver room is just so bad. I mean, if they're at all successful, I think Bowers is going to be successful. So would not shock me at all if Bowers caught 100+ balls this year. Not at all. So yeah, I'm excited about Bowers.
He wasn't healthy. It was very clear. He was, fighting it out, trying to get out there, trying to actually see what he could do on that leg. But we didn't have full Brock Bowers health. And if you think about from a skill set, his yak is a huge component of his offense. Also getting off that block quickly and getting open, we didn't see nearly as much of that kind of boost. Yeah. So I agree. And I like Bowers. I am on, I think, Team Bowers over McBride because I think the Cardinals just have a little more macro QB risk in my mind for the playoffs.
It's amazing seeing that. Spizball Fast. So he's referring to the Solver Draft Assistant. For anyone who hasn't checked that out, by the way, let me do the promo here. For anyone that has not checked it out, you head to the Solver. Actually, go to ETR and look under Best Ball and then Best Ball Tools. You'll find a link to the Solver there. If you do that and you use your ETR email, when you sign up for Solver, it'll sync our Best Ball rankings to the assistant. But basically, what Spizball was asking about is like once we take Devontae Adams, the tool will then show you how many of your teams have Devontae Adams plus X player. I believe that's live on Underdog right now. I believe we're working on it for DraftKings. Is that right, Herzig?
Yes, correct. Both of those.
Okay. So yeah, we're working on it for DraftKings. Know you guys want it.
It's helpful. It's helpful.
It's helpful for sure, but on Underdog, it is active right now.
Yep. And it's also something I care more about later on in the summer. Like, sure, if you're doing a time box contest and you're really getting massive volume in, but for the most part, me adapting my strategy, my picks to my exposures is more of a later in the summer type thing.
For sure. Austin Bearcat, I'm trying out Solver for the first time today. Shout out to you, buddy. We appreciate you trying out. Let us know how it goes. Trey says, would you consider drafting Brandon Ayuk later with Daniels now? So I don't have a great feeling about Brandon Ayuk, man. I know everyone thinks this is a done deal. I'm not sure it's a done deal. I'm not even sure this guy wants to play football. And I know he probably has to like get the rest of his money. I don't know, man. I definitely don't feel great about it at 161. What do you think, Herzig?
Yeah, so I mean, this is the time that I would draft him because I do think the most likely scenario if he does play in the NFL will be with the Commanders and definitely his kind of best case scenario. So if we normally have him at 200 and we have him as a likely stack, maybe you bring that up to like 180, maybe 170, 175. So like if you got it, that's how I kind of judge it for, well, how am I making up for that loss in value from a player standpoint? So I think we'll consider it, but we're not going to reach to grab him.
Yeah.
Now, Juwan Jennings, like maybe some of these other veterans that we think might sign, it's possible. I don't think we take Stafford here. We're still behind the 8 ball on wide receiver. I'm going to just star Jacoby.
Yeah, it sucks that Jaden Reed went. I thought that would have been a pretty nice pick for us there.
We can also go Jacoby here, Pittman next time, double tap Pittsburgh and grab Rodgers late. Yeah. Could go Rico and more with the Pittsburgh.
I don't feel great about the Jacksonville stuff. I just have no conviction on it. But at this price and given our wide receiver situation, I think we probably have to.
Okay. So now Rico or Pittman, I'll put as the top 2. Both of them are Pittsburgh. Both of them works with the DK and Rodgers stack later on. There goes Rico.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Like, I end up with a lot of Pittsburgh stuff based on where guys are going right now. I don't feel great about that, but like,
feel good about any of these guys.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I mean, I probably prefer Pearsall straight up.
5 seconds. 5 seconds.
Yeah, Pittman. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were talking me out of it.
My point is that like you can get overweight stacks in a window. In other words, right now, based on the way the ADP versus our rank goes, we're getting a lot of Pittsburgh stuff. In a month, I don't think I'll be getting much Pittsburgh stuff because ADP is going to have caught up. There's going to be a Rodgers bump, et cetera, et cetera. So like my point is when you're drafting for 3, 4, 5 months, you can get heavy stacks. Doesn't mean I'm going to have heavy stacks on Pittsburgh the whole way through the process, I guess is my point.
Completely agree with that. Okay. I'm going to pull this one up for you because you were hammering the table all August, maybe even some of July too, for George Pickens being one of the top values in the board. Ended up paying off. Pressure's on. What do you got for us this year?
Yeah, I'm gonna reserve comment on that. I'm contemplating some spicy takes. One of them is a Christian Watson, similar to George Pickens kind of take. I'm just not as convinced that the Packers will get into these 35, 40, 45 pass attempt games and that Christian Watson's as good as George Pickens. So I know this is a cop out, but give me some time, guys. I don't want to say something that I'll regret. So I know everybody's waiting for my guy that I'm going to have 40% off and still lose money in best ball. I'm at 40% of the guy. He's going to go off and I'm still going to lose money in best ball. That's what everybody's waiting for.
It is May. It is May. Yeah, and that's what one of the questions for which offense do I think like could become, I don't know, not a Cinderella, I don't know what the wording was, but really just outperform. And Packers was one of the ones that I really referenced because I could just see that being a tighter, more tightly concentrated target tree, just overall offense than we've seen in past years. But to your point, is it enough? Yeah.
Yeah. And I like Matthew Golden there too. I think Saints stuff is like already steaming.
Everybody loves them. Everybody loves that.
And I thought everybody would be on Pickens and Dallas last year, but his ADP held in like the 5th and 4th for most of the summer, so maybe people don't really care. It seems so obvious. Like, I couldn't find anybody sharp that like wasn't on George Pickens last year, and yet he still kept going in round 5 and round 4. So maybe guys like Christian Watson and Jordan Tyson will stay. But yeah, I mean, New Orleans hype is getting out of control. There's no doubt.
After one of our recent streams, I got a DM where someone's like, "Hey, what do you think about my take that like New Orleans is going to be like the team I want to load up on this year?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's awesome, but like everybody is, and you can even look at the prices. Olave, I think you and Silver were just talking about what that looks like for Olave and Tyson and their rankings, and kind of there's going to be a lot of bullishness on that entire offense, the dome, coaching, all that."
Yeah, I think Ricky Pearsall, by the way, is a really nice pick here at 114. That is very late for a player in that offense who I think has talent. Like Kyle Shanahan will get the most out of Ricky Pearsall if he's healthy. I just tweeted about Xavier Worthy. I think that's a pretty nice pick there at 115. Also, I wouldn't want to like overextend myself on Worthy, but there's definitely still a ceiling there. They're relying on him to play almost every snap.
Okay, let's do a quick recap over a pick away. We have Jaden Daniels, we have our Gibbs and Henry top 2 running backs. We just went 5 wide receivers, and then we have Brock Bowers. I think we could still definitely go like with the Concepcion wide receiver. I think we have optionality here.
It would probably be Concepcion here for me. We have some boring veterans at wide receiver. I think like mixing in a rookie with upside makes sense. I have major concerns about the quarterback situation in Cleveland, like major, but that's baked into the price, I think.
I'd also reference 105, 113, 131. Like there is a major drop where if we didn't take a wide receiver here and Shakir and Concepcion maybe both win in these 2 picks, it's a big gap there. Let's see, Aaron Jones.
Yeah. I would take the leap on C-Rod probably here. I think that's what Solver wants also. Yeah.
Yep. That'd be our 3rd running back. Kenneth Gainwell over C-Rod, or C-Rod over Kenneth Gainwell?
I think so. I mean, there's outcomes where C-Rod scores like 12 touchdowns, I think. But
okay. I'm good with that. Yeah, this is just a point in the draft where like I don't love these running backs. Maybe we have Bowers, so that's where like usually I'm grabbing tight ends in this area, but with Bowers, it's like you don't want to be spending that much more capital. I considered Baker Mayfield. It's not a stack with us. You could back stack, but the QBs really start dropping a bit.
Yeah. Well, look at our draft cap allocation. For anyone who has the Solver Draft Assistant, like these are our recommendations for where your draft capital should be spent. We've already spent well into our bucket of what we should spend at tight end, right? So like it's tough for me to go Bowers and then another tight end there.
But look at running back. We've capped out a little. Another interesting point is where we got Jaden Daniels, which was pick 71. From a draft capital standpoint, it's only giving us 58 points, but we actually believe he's a QB that should be around pick like mid-50s, which would have been substantially higher draft capital. Yeah. And so this doesn't update in real time based off our rankings. It's going off the draft capital, but it's worth you as you're drafting thinking through, well, hey, I did get a solid value on QB, so I actually don't need to spend so much more draft capital since I've got like an extra, call it like a hidden boost.
Agreed. B. Karen says, what are we doing with the extra picks on DraftKings compared to Underdog? So DraftKings are 20-round drafts, Underdog are 18. My big thing on DraftKings, why I actually prefer 20 rounds, is I think that we can find diamonds in the rough, round 19, round 20, we'll do better with those picks than our opponents. And so, like, if they had 25 round drafts, I'd do that. If they had 30 round drafts, I'd like, I just want to keep making it harder and harder on my opponents. So that's like number one, why I like the 20 round draft. Number two, I think like almost all of my, not all, I would say like 90% of my teams last year on DraftKings were 3 quarterback and 3 tight end. When you have 20 rounds, I think it's right to have 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends. It's getting harder and harder to do that now because of the way quarterback has gone. So those are the 2 big things for me. Herzig, any more thoughts on the 20 round stuff?
First off, DraftKings, I know you're listening because you're obviously, friends with us. Please do not expand this more than 20 rounds. Like, I understand that like Adam really wants to grind and get that extra edge, but do not make these drafts any longer. We're happy with 20. But yes, we are, usually able to capitalize on those extra rounds more than others. I'm not 100% sure, like, if I'm getting these elite QBs, how much I want to overspend to get the extra 2 this year. Last year, I got a lot of Tyler Shuck. You could get, and you could get those rookies. You could get Jackson Dart. You can get those late guys. Even Aaron Rodgers was like an 18th, 19th round pick last year. He's a good value now, but I expect him to rise. So like, I agree. I'm usually doing 3 QBs, but this is the first year that you don't just have a whole bunch of these, I don't know, like quality, serviceable guys who you expect to start all year in the last rounds. Those are in the 14th round now.
Yeah. And we might get some news, like I'm willing to gamble that Mendoza starts more games than people think. Maybe we'll get a Carson Beck, Jacoby Brissett, announcement or something that'll give us more late round quarterbacks. But yeah, they're certainly getting pushed up.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of QBs, we have the Jaden. We know this Rodgers, his ADP is 188. We can likely get him later.
I think that Rodgers, now that he's signed, is going to start going earlier than that. But yeah, agreed.
Okay. Darnold, we don't have any stacks with these QBs. Other players, Jake Ferguson is just gone. We're getting a round of value on a position of need, and we can still try to get Rodgers, but now we don't have to absolutely reach for him. Otherwise, running backs are ugly.
Yeah, I mean, you could do something. It has
Omar Cooper.
Has Shaheed gone?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could go Cup Darnold. You don't have to, but
I'm just going to grab Darnold as a BPA there at a slightly position of need.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we have to like force Cup, but he goes like super late relative to our rank.
He's going to be at the top of our queue for a while. Another rookie wide receiver?
Sure.
All right. Otherwise, I don't want Woody. I'm okay with Tajay, but I don't need it with our team. We are still light on wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, just the draft capital allocation bucket. We need some wide receiver.
Yep, I like it.
I mean, you could take Jawan Jennings and hope that he signs with Washington, but
that's fine. He might fall back to us. We'll see. Unlikely, but I mean, there's a chance. He's 158. We're gonna have to pick like 162. Yeah, 167. Okay.
Yeah. So why are ETR ranks so bullish on Cooper Kupp? I mean, by bullish, we're talking 159 overall. 159 overall. I wouldn't call that like bullish. It's just the market is completely out on Cooper Kupp, 196. It's funny because last year we were like 30 spots below ADP on Cooper Kupp. And I had people DMing me, why don't you guys like Cooper Kupp? What are we doing here? Cooper Kupp's the man. And now it's like, well, now we're at 159. And now it's like, why are we so high? So I get it. He can catch 60, 65 balls at an ADP of 196. Is that bad for best ball? Now for season long, I don't really want Cooper Kupp at all. Like I don't really see much spike week. I'd rather just like churn the waiver wire. But for best ball, getting 3 to 5 catches a week is worth something. So I don't know. I don't like feel super strong, but 159 I don't think is crazy on Cooper Kupp. What do you think about that?
Well, I think look at the actual offense and think about what you're going to see on the field when they're playing. Okay, so from a wide receiver standpoint, you obviously have JSN, and then opposite him, you have Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed, and Torrey Horton. Rashid Shaheed and Torrey Horton kind of play the same position. Like those two are more competing against spots than Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is the unique one where he's pretty much always going to have that same consistent role. They're not, the tight ends not leveraging tremendously. And you even rookie running back that we don't even love, a Jadarian Price. Like I think Cooper Kupp might end up leading that team second in targets on the year, and it's ugly. And he's old, they're underneath routes, but from a pure projection, it's hard not to at least put him at 159 or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, could Torrey Horton beat him out and start taking snaps? That was what I was hoping last year. I took a bunch of Torrey Horton in like round 18, 19, 20 last year. It could happen. I don't think that's the likeliest outcome.
And I don't think like he's competing to beat out Cooper Kupp is the thing. Like Torrey Horton more so has to beat out Rashid Shaheed, which he could do, and that's possible. And then when whoever's in the field between those two, then now has to compete to actually earn targets. And so it's kind of a parlay if you're betting on the Torrey Horton, whereas Shaheed, I mean, yeah, we loved him with the Saints. We were optimistic he was going to play a larger role. Even what was it, the Super Bowl, the conference championship? He had like one catch and it was like 40 yards. Like, it's like, just give him the ball, but they don't want to. That's not how they're playing this. And so I think from a pure earning targets, like Cooper Kupp's still going to be probably that number 2 in the offense.
My point about Aaron Rodgers there, like once he signs, like people are so reactive to headlines. Like, oh, everybody knew he was going to sign with the Steelers, but now that it actually happens, people want to draft him. So this is my point. Like, if you want to complete your stacks, it's really hard to push it, especially once there's news on these guys.
And look at who else is available. This is where I was talking about the 3 QB aspect is if you want to get 3 QBs, like the last QBs are going in the 13th round, and Rodgers was the first pick of the 14th. No one else here available, I think, will be starting for the fantasy playoffs. And yeah, Jacoby, look where we have these guys ranked.
Yeah. So do you think that we should have gone Aaron Rodgers over Omar Cooper there?
No, because even the news today, like, wasn't even that confident that he's signing. Like, he's doing a visit. So I think it was fair to assume that he was still going to fall. Not assume, but take a chance that he was going to fall to us at 167. Now, if we didn't take Darnold, I think then we didn't want to get left out of only having 1 QB. But because we took Darnold, it allows us to say, hey, we think Rodgers can fall back to us.
Yeah.
And also, like, our bets on Pittman and DK, yes, we'd obviously want them stacked, but it's not the biggest deal, and it's less important on, oh, look at that, Juwan Jennings.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, my read on the whole Juwan Jennings situation is teams think he's good. I read something today that the 49ers actually offered him $17 million a year, and he just thinks he's the man. He's like, no, I want 25 or whatever.
Right.
And that's just the way that it's gone. At some point, he's going to play, it's just like a money thing. So if Brandon Ayuk is toast, which I don't want to say he's toast, but I have major concerns about him, then maybe Commanders just go Juwan Jennings.
Yeah. Okay. We have 2 QBs, Jaden and Darnold. We have 3 running backs, Gibbs, Henry, and Chris Rodriguez. I know we're really high in the capital, but I'd say Brian Robinson or Dylan Sampson are both pretty strong picks here. At wide receiver, we already have 8. We can still probably get Cooper Kupp later. At tight end, it's starting to get ugly, but we do have Bowers.
Yeah, I want Antonio Williams, for sure. Like, for sure. So if you think we're going to be able to get him back,
this would be the last time I can guarantee him.
All right. I'd rather take him if we're going to go for the Jaden stuff personally.
Okay. Let's do it.
Sometimes you got to IKB. Sometimes you just have to know better. You know what I mean, Herzig? You have to know better that even though we have Antonio Williams ranked way below Brian Robinson for this specific team with Jaden Daniels and an RB heavy start, Antonio Williams is actually what we need.
When you can reach a round on your 9th wide receiver, you have to do it. That's what I keep telling you guys. You just have to do it.
You told me he wasn't going to get back. He wasn't going to get back.
Those things are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this? What Scorpion saying? If you start the way that we started, it's like almost impossible. Like, we've taken 9 wide receivers and we're still not into the bucket for draft cap allocation. So do you think we need to adjust our expectation here on wide receiver? Or you think that this is just the way it is?
No, we didn't take a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds. That means you are really missing out on an elite wide receiver, and that's going to hurt your draft capital. And you can keep trying to make up for it with quantity later on in the draft, but this is actually a valuable lesson. A lot of the times, these late picks are 0. And so just because it has a wide receiver next to it, instead of an RB next to it, if they each are giving you 0, then it really didn't impact your lineup. And that's where, like, I kind of joke where, like, having a 9th wide receiver or whatever, like, I don't really want to do it. But at the end of the day, when it's so late, whether that's a 9th wide receiver or something else on the position, it doesn't matter that much. if we didn't take Brock Bowers and we took a wide receiver there, which usually I am taking a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds, we very easily would have gotten to our wide receiver allocation for our.
Okay. Yep. Agreed. Yeah. All Vibes, No Value shipped a small contest last year. He shouted out us. Shout out to you, man. Congrats. Run it back this year. Yeah. Austin Bearcat's here in the draft. He just crazy. So you just have to panic. What does he have? He has Stroud, Rodgers, and Love. Yeah.
It's right. I mean, so Love and Stroud is definitely not enough for what you want. And when he got to this spot, he looked to see who was available, and this was the last person. So it makes complete sense. Also, did Bernard go yet?
Jeremy?
Yeah. No, he's still here. So he could still, with this pick right now, ATX, take Jeremy Bernard. What are you doing?
Go to the Q&A so Herzig can help you, Austin Bearcat. Grant says, will the Vrabel drama affect the Patriots this season? She'll be out on May, and specifically Trey Hendo. You know, Grant, if we downgraded all the people that were piping each other at work. I mean, I've never worked in an office, so maybe I shouldn't comment. But from my understanding, everybody at work is just piping each other 24/7. That's all that happens. Nobody's working. They're just piping. This is not exclusive to the NFL. This is every industry around the entire world. And so if we were to downgrade everyone who's piping people at work, you know, married, pregnant, doesn't matter, whatever, there'd be no one left. So, yeah.
I mean, come on. You guys go on a boat and you sign your names on the boat, and then they ask for pictures. And Mike Vrabel, you say, yes, you can take a picture, but please don't post it. But also don't take a picture of her too. Come on. They wanted to get. Okay, this is two things. But I have a friend who we just found out he was cheating, and like it's horrible, and I do not condone it, and I'm definitely disappointed in him. But like he wanted to get caught, and I feel like Mike Vrabel, like that would got to a similar situation where sometimes you accept like, screw it, you've gone too far.
Yeah, for sure. Gunnar Helm would have been interesting for us as our second tight end. I also thought Tesla and Ridley here. Like that's the thing about wide receiver. I feel better about guys like Tesla and Ridley and a bunch of these other wide receivers that go late than I do about the running backs that go late. So it just is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, we have 3 running backs right now. This needs to be probably a running back and the tight end.
Yeah, I don't even mind running back. I mean, there's a lot of tight ends that we can take later. But yeah, I would. Emmanuel Wilson and Braylon are both fine by me.
Okay. I'll queue up Braylon. Let's just take a look. This guy's got 2 tight ends: Tyler Warren, AJ Barner. He might go running back. 5 running backs right now. There's the Geo. Again, we do have Brock Bowers, and like this is kind of the way that I like to play Brock Bowers on DraftKings is like, so you could still go 3 tight ends, but I'm not using like any draft capital on those other guys.
And like there's tight ends late, man. Like I think Terrence Ferguson is interesting. I think Michael Mayer is interesting.
Not for, well, I mean, did I miss Chig, we don't want Mayer for this team, but
no. But Chig went. Did Chig go?
I can go check. Yes, Chig went. He goes a little bit before.
Okay.
Show drafted. He's 154. Our ranks are behind him.
Yeah.
But with the Jaden, that would have been a good thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I mean, Frankie points out in a Royal team, like that's in these kind of contests that are super large, Arroyo's not going to get drafted in every league. And so, Arroyo was a pass catching tight end in college. Like that's what he does. I think it's a reasonable pick for this team. I wouldn't take it on a team, on a different kind of team where like we needed production at tight end for sure, or we didn't have Darnold.
Yeah. We talked about Mekhi Lemon. I mean, I think here's another kind of threat to Mekhi Lemon is just them drafting Stowers and potentially using more 2 tight end sets, which may keep Mekhi Lemon off the field. Like, I think a lot of risk.
Stowers an interesting pick in best ball. I don't think he's going to be really tough to start in season long. I think you won't know when it's coming, but they could have like specialized packages for Stowers in certain matchups without AJ Brown that I actually like it in best ball here at 195. That's an interesting one. I'm surprised that Parkinson went ahead of Ferguson. I prefer Ferguson over Parkinson there personally.
I think ADP actually has Parkinson 190 and Ferguson 213. Yeah,
Yeah.
our ranks are the opposite, but
Yeah, I prefer Ferguson. I just think a more natural pass catcher and better ceiling.
100% agree. Also has that like still youthful upside.
How many picks do we have left? Two?
Three picks. 2, 5, 9, 1. This is a situation where it's like, I'm not going to force QB. You take a look, and we do have Shador Sanders. I mean, we do have Casey Concepcion, so you could convince me of Cleveland, but probably not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to.
I don't know what they're gonna do, man. Honestly, like I do not think Deshaun Watson can play football. Like, not that Shador is good, but I'd personally rather see Shador out there than Deshaun Watson.
Defense is still going to be pretty solid. Offensive line should be improved. I could see them convincing themselves that Deshaun Watson could be a game manager. And like, he obviously doesn't have the arm talent that, we remember him as. He doesn't have the legs, but I think you could, whether it's true or not, you could convince yourself as ownership, like he has a better chance of not turning the ball over, of actually understanding, like reading the defenses than wild card Shador. But yeah.
Kalen Black
definitely gives you more upside.
Kalen Black's an interesting. Shador just went. Kalen Black's an interesting one that maybe I would have considered over one of the running backs we just took, just because we have early season production for sure with Gibbs and Henry. Maybe there's a CMC injury and Kalen Black wins that job and ends up being a huge hit. I'm not as convinced that Braylon would be. Yeah, I guess it's close, but just like the Jets versus the 49ers, if Braylon gets his chance and Black gets his chance, I prefer Black.
I like to have a little more confidence in that these guys are actually going to be like game day actives. Like Kalen Black may not even be.
Oh no, it could be Jordan James for sure.
Right. All right. Terrence Ferguson is available. Running backs, I'm just showing you so we can take a look. I've got my favorite in this one.
Yeah. Ferguson, and you think we can get Arroyo with our last pick, right? So I think Ferguson here and Arroyo with our last pick.
I'm good with that. And then for this, I would probably. I really like the DJ Giddens. I've talked about that in the last stream. I think Najee's actually a pretty decent, maybe not for this team, but like I still think Najee ends up playing somewhere this year and probably outproduces every running back on the screen.
Yeah. If you're out on Marshawn Lloyd, Chris Brooks would be the direct backup to Josh Jacobs. That's certainly not clean. And same with Jaden Blue to Javonte Williams, certainly not clean.
Yeah.
15 seconds. I'm fine with Giddens. I'm not convinced he's like better than Seth McGowan, but if none of these guys are separating cleanly.
Yeah. I still like him as a talent. And then when you consider like the way they want to use their offense, I do think if Jonathan Taylor were to go down, like somebody's going to have closer to a workhorse role than our confidence in other teams.
Yeah. Light Scout NY says, asking about Chuba Hubbard versus Jonathan Brooks. I have good news for you, Lights Out. I talked about this on Market Monday. You can go back to the video from Monday, and I talked about it for a while. I'm not really taking either of these guys very much right now. I think they're both a little bit overvalued. Herzig, any thoughts on the Carolina running back situation?
And they're both rising. And I think it makes sense from one of them is probably going to win. Jonathan Brooks one makes more sense for me from a rising because of the injury clarity that we're getting. And you can still squint and think through who had that first round rookie running back talent. They want, no one's really ever been that excited about Chuba Hubbard, even though the Panthers make him a captain and they continue to lean on him. So I don't know. I think there's other players around them that I'm a little more confident in. I still think the Panthers offense is a little meh anyways. So
definitely. Yeah. I don't think Bryce Young has turned any kind of corner. Like if Bryce Young was a backup in the league next year, would not shock me whatsoever.
Yeah. If this second half of the year, he didn't even finish the starter, I wouldn't be shocked. Like we're only not even a full season removed from him being like benched. Yeah.
Producer Ryan, who you all know and love, couldn't join today because he's flying somewhere and he's watching this, and he says that we have not asked enough for you guys to like and subscribe here on YouTube. So as a YouTuber, as Overzet's channel is now calling me, as a YouTuber, I'm asking you to like and subscribe. Is indeed.
Shout out Emo Cowboy earlier as well. Slam the like, slam the like. So
Yeah, this is an interesting thought from.
I missed that. Go for it.
This is an interesting thought from Northland Films. Are the Cards keeping James Conner and Benson? Is Seattle a possible landing spot? Maybe Seattle's not done. I've thought about this also. There's plenty of guys that are out there. Maybe they're not done. But I talked to Silva about this yesterday. I don't think James Conner wants to sit around and play 10% of the snaps behind Love and Algier. So I could see them trading James Conner. Trey Benson, I'm not even sure is an NFL player. So
yeah, I think Trey Benson will get released. I don't think anyone would claim him. Maybe he signs to a practice squad or at least like a tryout. The thing with James Conner is, like, you're probably right, but he's been in Arizona for a while. There's definitely a strong relationship, and he's got a pretty friendly contract this year. So, like, the Cardinals are not incentivized to let him go. I mean, if you ask them, they'd much rather have James Conner as their third than Trey Benson. And if they're going to release Trey Benson and they have this friendly contract with Conner, I think it really would have to be Conner forcing their hand and requesting it. But is James Conner even in demand enough because of the injury and the unknown that like a team is willing to trade for him?
Yeah. Just some comments on some of these late picks here that kind of stood out to me. I mentioned Kalen Black, I thought was interesting. If he can win that job behind Christian McCaffrey, I think that's pretty valuable. Zachariah Branch, me and Silva talked about yesterday. There's not a lot of competition opposite Drake London. Jalen Noel, I don't know why he didn't play more last year. When he did, I was actually pretty impressed by him. I mentioned Chris Brooks. If you don't believe Marshawn Lloyd can stay healthy, Josh Jacobs has a ton of tread on his tires. 28 years old, Chris Brooks would be the direct backup there. Tyquan Thornton, who just went, I think, barring an addition, will be the wide receiver 3 for the Chiefs. Is that worth much? I don't know, but he's going to play a lot with Mahomes, Tyquan Thornton. So I thought those were all at least noteworthy picks there in the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, I think I like Tyquan Thornton, especially as a stack with Mahomes on underdog a lot because his style fits the scoring better, but also because there's only 18 rounds there, he's not going to be being drafted much. So I could definitely see him being a just low owned, high, correlated with your Mahomes. When Mahomes has a big game, it's usually, at least historically, had been because he got a deep ball or two in there. And so Tyquan Thornton gets that 70-yard touchdown. Now Mahomes is the guy you need, and you already have a 15, 20-point wide receiver mixed in there.
Yeah. So you think Arroyo here, right? I mean, would you ever go 2 tight ends on this kind of team?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
If there was someone we really liked, I'd be okay with 2 tight ends on this team.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm perfectly content with 2 tight ends at Bowers. But when you have the 20th round, why not grab it?
Yeah.
And there's no one else here that I really care about.
And I will say, like, if there were some wide receivers that went after Antonio Williams that I kind of like. There's even like Pat Bryant is still on the board. I don't think it's a great pick, but I think it's fine. But yeah, like there's more opportunities at wide receiver late than other positions. But yeah, we're going Arroyo here.
Yep, agreed.
For the stack also. I just want to address this from Donovan. It says Adam is a content creator. When's Adam doing IRL on Kick with Cavicular? When me and Herzig started doing this stuff, I was doing it not to create content. I just really like this stuff, and I like sharing with people stuff that I was doing to try to win in these games. Then next thing I know, people are calling me a content creator, a YouTuber, and now my kids are calling me a YouTuber. It's fucking embarrassing. I don't want to be a YouTuber. I don't want to be a content creator. I'm out here to win. So I don't know. I'm starting to get really frustrated with the whole lumping me in with clavicular, whatever his name is, clavicular.
Oh, yeah, that's a rant for the ages. I mean, Speaking of ages, we are so much older than the rest of these content creators out there.
All right, what do you think of the team, Herzig? We ended up with a 2-6-9-3. Again, a lot of my teams are 3-6-8-3. The meta, though, has changed so much where I'm taking more elite quarterback because you can get Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Lamar, Hurts later than I think that they should go. So this year, so far at least, I've ended up with a lot more of this 2-6-9-3. Herzig, thoughts on our team?
Yeah, I think overall it's pretty solid. This stacking component, we left a little bit desired. The Jaden Daniels, we did what we could with hoping that Juwan Jennings signs. We at least got the Williams here, and obviously the Terry. Darnold was just kind of a best player available value, and I'm glad we took it because after that, like Mendoza, who we don't even not even sure how many games he's going to start. Plus, he's a rookie and a run first offense. Geno Smith, unlikely he's starting the rest of the year. Like, it really dropped down when this guy took back-to-back QBs. So I'm glad we at least took that, even though it's, mostly naked other than Arroyo. We didn't really spend too much at running back other than our Gibbs and Henry. They're going to carry us. And then we've got kind of some complementary pieces here. But for the most part, our flex is going to be filled in with wide receiver. And wide receiver, even though we didn't spend a first 3 round on it, Devontae, Terry, DK, Jacoby, Pittman, Concepcion, like a nice mix of upside with some just, high medians projections.
Yeah. And one other thing that I actually do want to talk about on a future show, and we did the article about our rookies getting overvalued in best ball. You guys can check that out on the site. But people are so out on the rookies this year. I kind of want to think more about, should we be in on rookies a little bit more as the field kind of is out on them? It's just hard because there weren't very many good landing spots and there weren't very many good draft capital spots. It's just really hard, even if you wanted to be high on rookies this year, to actually get there. I guess one way to do it could be just be like, screw it, I'm taking Tate and Jordan Tyson above ADP. But I don't know. I don't feel great about that.
I want Mekhi Lemon to fall because I do think like there is upside there. It's just right now the risks and the ways that doesn't work are just way too high for that price. And then honestly, the way to do it is probably going to be like Omar Cooper and Casey Concepcion because nobody wants to touch the Jets or the Browns offenses. But the truth is, even in bad offenses, and especially as wide receivers, when not even bad offense, a whole bad team, come week 15, 16, 17, like they might just be peppering those number one wide receivers with targets. And why not see what you have in the young guys?
All right. That's going to do it for this show, though. We'll be back with plenty more shows. Be sure you are subscribed here on YouTube. It is indeed free. If you want access to Q&As with Herzig, our rankings that update immediately for any news. And believe me, our rankings are so complex and thought over and combed over. It would shock me if you're able to find anything better than our rankings. That is why both Sam Sherman and Sam Shepard used our rankings last year to win the $2 million on Underdog and DraftKings, $59.99 for the entire year. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. Herzig is doing these streams almost weekly. I've done about 3 of them so far. Happy to keep doing them if you guys like them. So let us know in the comments. For Herzig, producer Ryan from the air, everyone behind the scenes at ETR Best Ball, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.